Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV's church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
Hey, happy Monday, and this is Executive Pastor Tawana Grant. Today we are continuing in our series on recession proofing your business. And so we want to encourage you today to go ahead and tune in, to like and share, to subscribe to the Juice Radio and Talk Show as we continue to enable you with practical tools, financial strategies, and business insights that you need to stay ahead. How many know this year we want to be proactive? We want to be engaged. And so we are empowering you with information to do so. Now, last week, we talked about economic uncertainties, key financial trends to look at that you want to watch in this year. Today, we're diving even deeper. We're going to be talking about how can you make your business stay recession-proof in 2025. And this is part number 4. So if you have not had an opportunity, if today is your first day joining us, and we are so excited to have you with us. If you're just joining us, go back onto the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Make sure you tune in and watch our prior sessions on this particular series. We are encouraging you again because we've seen the latest economic reports, the inflation concerns and changes with the labor market. And so now is the time. Now's the time. Don't delay. Now's the time to get ahead of it and to take action wherever you are in your business. Wherever you are in your ministry and your entrepreneurship and your innovation, this is the time for you now to give attention and to make sure that you are strategizing because we have some key strategies for business owners, entrepreneurs, and ministry leaders today. Plus, we want to add in a little bit about tax preparation tips because we know we're entering into tax season because we want to ensure that you are ready for success. What is success? Success equals preparation. Is when preparation meets opportunity, then you have a greater level of success. And so we want to get us ready on today as we consider, again, recession-proofing our businesses, our ministries, so that we can thrive in 2025, so that we can go from waiting to winning. We want to make sure that in your wait, we don't want you to feel like you're not doing anything. Some of us are waiting and we're just sitting stagnant. No, waiting is an active wait. To occupy, that we are busy doing the great things that we've been called to do, things that we're gifted in, but we're waiting on the final manifestation for it to come to fruition. We're seeing some of the fruit. It's just like during the spring and winter when it is changing, spring and winter. And so sometimes you might see, the leaves have fallen out. But at a certain part in spring, you start to see sprouts come back. And so that's the part of waiting. This is the portion where you're getting yourself set. What do they say when they're getting ready to do a race? They say, on your mark, get set. Get ready and then go, right? And so right now, some of the things that we're doing, we're marking, we're getting our focus in. And so we want to encourage you as we go into our segment for today. So we're going to look at some economic updates. We want to start it. What's happening right now? Before we get into solutions, let's talk about what's actually happening in our economy. So inflation and inflation rates. The Federal Reserve is keeping a close eye on inflation. We've seen interest rates hold steady, which is good. But experts do warn that the borrowing could become more expensive for small businesses, meaning the interest rate could start to increase. If you're thinking about scaling or taking out a loan, now's the time to review. Now's the time to look at it and look at your options as there is a potential for rates to start shifting again. Okay, again, inflation rates and interest rates are they're holding steady, but they're looking to improve. So as we look at the at the outlining, as we look at the outliners of what's happening in our ecosystem, in our economy, then you want to be considering these kind of things as you're looking to make moves. One also you want to consider is consumer spending trends. Spending habits are changing, right? Because we know what's happening in our economical climate. Spending habits is changing, but people are still spending. So that's good for us as business owners, but they are prioritizing necessities over luxuries. And so if you're in the business where you're performing and delivering a product or service that is a necessity, then you will still thrive. If your business are doing essential services, you can have a competitive edge because our consumers are still buying. Our consumers are still spending. But if not, you may need to start adjusting. We've been talking about that the last couple of weeks, talking about your price structure, looking at your strategies for marketing, looking at how can you keep your sales steady, keeping the business solvent and keeping things moving forward. So that's a key point as we look at what's happening in our outlining ecosystem for our economy right now. Consumer spending trends seem to be steady, but people are prioritizing to look at necessities over luxuries. And even us as individuals, we should be considering that as well. On the job market and layoffs, this is another key indicator about what's happening right now. We've seen big companies tightening their budget, right? We've seen that. You've seen the notices. People are being laid off. Businesses are reassessing their tech, their retail, and corporate America throughout different fields and different industries. They are looking at where they can trim expenses. So this is a sign that businesses are cutting costs, right? Which means in time to be proactive rather than reactive. This is an indicator to you as a next level leader, as a person who is a business owner and who wants to ensure that your business thrives. You want to ensure that you are winning in all your areas. And so you need to be looking at that as they are tightening the budget, right? And the layoffs are happening. You need to be assessing where do you as a business owner need to cut prices? Where can we be more efficient and effective, both with our distributors, with our partners, with our resources? And then also look within, look internal, look within your organization. Where are there where you can balance out work more efficiently, effectively, where you can retool your teammates so that they can operate in a way that brings you additional cost reduction. Perhaps there are others within your team that you haven't pursued that have skill sets that you haven't even tapped in. So I want to encourage you to look within as well. While we're looking at what's happening outside, make sure that you analyze and you do a assessment of what's happening internally within your organization. So again, these are some of those. What's happening now? We talked about inflation and interest rates. What's happening now in consumer spending trend that can impact and influence your business, and what's happening now in the job market and layoff. So remember this, as people are cutting, laying off, that there may be, again, an over amount of people who are available for work. And so maybe where you have been looking for new skill sets that you might need, but you could not afford some of the pricing, this may be an opportunity for you too to leverage where there is a overflux of available allocation and people with certain skill sets to take advantage of it, because some of them may want to go into a family business or a small business and find new opportunities through your organization. So consider that. Don't sell your business short. Go after what you know you need. This is the time to be proactive, not reactive. What we also want to talk about is how do we now that we looked at what's happening out in the economic system, what do we do for key strategies to recession-proof our own business? So let's talk about what you can do. Again, we've said it before, increase your cash flow and reduce unnecessary expense. This requires you to always consider doing a financial audit. Look back, review your subscriptions, your vendor contracts, and software contracts to cut unnecessary costs and expenses. This is something that's very key. I have been doing this personally myself, revisiting where I have subscriptions, revisiting where I have allocation going out to partners and service providers that perhaps they were necessary when I first started or necessary over the years, but are they necessary now? And are they providing you the services that you need? If they are not, then consider whether or not you need to move or shift to another vendor supplier, or even whether it is a necessary opportunity to cut that off altogether. And therefore you'll have some residual expense funding coming into the business. So again, you want to look at that. Next, we want to look at diversifying your income streams, right? How do I diversify? Look at some areas where you are already operating and you don't want to be single threaded. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, is what they used to say. You want to have the opportunity so that if something changes, if the market shifts very suddenly, you're not left without the ability to service your clients, because they're looking for you to always be able to provide what you said you would, what they're paying for. So you want to make sure that you are diversifying your income. Whereas there is just one single threaded, how can I now take that and then maximize it? We talked about it before with Dunkin' Donuts and how they started doing the donut hole. So it's that little piece that's left when they're cutting the donut that they probably threw away for a long time, but now they're maximizing that piece of dough, and they have now made it another part of their product service. And so you need to look at where you are providing services to your vendors or services to your contractors and your customers. And how can I now, just maybe with a fine tweak of very minimal effort, very minimal cost, make a whole new stream of income? And so that would be advantageous to you. Next, improve your collections. This is so key. Sometimes we allow our partners and sometimes even clients to owe us, and we're thinking that we're being loyal and we're thinking that we're being helpful, but in turn, you're also costing your own business the ability to have those funds available for your own expenses. So you really need to make sure that you're monitoring payment for invoice payables. You want to be making sure that you're setting automatic reminders for yourself, that you maybe even look at adjusting some of your payment terms. Maybe you were giving people 60 days to pay. Perhaps you want to look at trimming it down to 30, because then when you shut down or bring in your payables due date, that makes that cash flow faster. That's what we're talking about, improving your cash flow. And some of the ways to do that is to evaluate and improve on your collections so that you don't be waiting. You don't have a lot of money outstanding. You have it coming in so that you can leverage it. So another thing we talked about is strengthening your team, retaining and empowering your employees. This is so key because it is not about losing good employees. You don't want to do that in this particular time. Instead of layoffs, we know that organizations are doing layoffs. We talk about you want to start looking internally. You want to look for cross-training your teams. How can you cross-train your team so that they will be even more effective and efficient to you, so that they can also be able to pivot into new roles that make advantage, put you in the seat where you are winning in certain areas that you haven't even tapped into before. Incentives and recognition. I think it's great to incentivize, to also recognize people. People want to feel appreciated. And so if we're always tasking and never saying thank you, if we're always tasking and we're never giving appreciation, that is a way that people sometimes feel as if they're not valued. And so we want to be flexible sometimes, even with schedules, with public recognition. These go a long way. There's nothing wrong with saying thank you. And at least acknowledging the strength that people bring to your organization. And then making sure that we have clear communication, where we have open decisions, open dialogue with our team about our financial health and future stability. Sometimes people, and I've seen this even in corporate America, sometimes people will hear the immediate news that people are being laid off, and out of their sense of anxiety, they may jump into something new without having to have the conversation with you. And so you as a business owner, you need to have that open dialogue to let people know where you are financially. We're stable. We're working to maintain. You may be seeing some shifts or some changes because we want to make sure that we keep everyone with us, or we keep the right people with us. We want to move forward, and you need to be giving that type of information so that if you don't give them information, they will come up with their own narrative. You have to be able to have your own narrative and share your own information. And so we want to encourage you today that you have that type of mindset as a next level leader, as an entrepreneur, visionary, business owner. You've got to be able to communicate, and it's okay to even share when you have to make adjustments. They need to know what's happening and why. That is so important. And that brings stability to and build trust. That builds trust in your relationship with your team, because they believe that you are transparent in giving them this type of information, and so they can trust in your leadership. Next, we want to make sure that we are adapting to our consumer needs and market changes. And so when we are seeing trends, the business that survives recession are the ones who have the ability to pivot very quickly. Those are the ones who can navigate, the ones who can adapt, the ones who become flexible with happening. I love what Bishop Paul Morton would say. He said, marry the mission, but date the method. Meaning, you know your mission, you know your core, you know your values, you know your culture. Stay with that, but how you do it, that needs to be able to be flexible, needs to be able to adapt. Why? Because customer loyalty, so you want to make sure you have customer loyalty, and you can offer sometimes those kind of discounts that they see from others. You can also offer some specials when they're doing repeat programs to be able to purchase from you again or to use your service again. There's a way that you can price that so that you're still winning. We want to encourage you to look at that. Also, value-based selling. Show customers why your product or service is a must-have. Again, people are spending money, prioritizing necessities. Why should they use your service? Why should they operate and use your product? This is what you're doing. You're making the customer aware of how valuable you are and what you bring to the table, and setting aside you from your other competitors, especially while we're in these economical times. Leverage digital marketing. Listen, if sales are slow, adjust your messaging. Don't use the same message that you had last year or the same message that you did 2 years ago. Now's the time to go back and refresh, rebrand, recreate, open up new doors, right? Because you have to be servicing the customer of the right now. Oh, that's good. You have to service the customers of right now. And so as you want to expand, as you want to grow, you need to be able to meet not just your current customers and your clients' needs, but also those that you want to introduce to your services and your products. You want to be a business owner for the right now customer as well. You want to build stronger relationships and strategic partnerships. This is so key. If you want to stay in business, you want to go for the longevity. You want to continue, right, in a way that brings such a confidence so that you strengthen in numbers. How many know that? I know sometimes we want to feel like we need to do it all by ourselves, but I want to encourage you. There is strength in numbers. And so when you collaborate with other businesses, business owners, other churches, other nonprofits, to pool your resources together, to co-market and to expand your reach. What do we say? If you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Sometimes the collaborative effort of many makes you stronger. And so it's not in competition. There's no competition between the moon and the sun. They both shine when it's their turn. And so you've got to be critical to align with organizations and partners who also share your shared vision and mission as it relates to how you operate, how you do business. If you're a person that operates in excellence and a person who looks to operate in integrity, you must align with a partner who shares that same vision and outlook so that it will be well with thee. So that it is a win-win. So there's a joint venture and you both come out better from the collaboration. That's really what you're looking at. How can I help you and how can you help me? How can I strengthen you and how can you strengthen me? How I can grow in certain lanes and levels because of our shared experience together. And so that's why it's so key and so important that you don't forget, build strong relationships and build impactful relationships. That is so important. And for us as business owners, as we continue to move forward, we've got to remember we can't go it alone. We need each other. And so lastly, as we move further in today's conversation, I really want to talk about getting ready for your taxes. I've been hearing a lot of that as I listen to podcasts and watch the news and read. There's a lot as we want to prepare for taxes in 2024. So here's just a few things. Again, as I always mention, this is not an exhaustive list. We can't go through everything in 30 minutes, but what we want to do is give you some nuggets to consider, give you some information that can push you forward. But know this, information is only powerful when you use it. You've got to put it into action. Otherwise, it's just knowledge. And so what we want to do is we want to let you know here, April is right around the corner. April will be here before you know it. And so we want to just continue our tax prep talk in each one of the sessions as we get closer and closer toward our tax season. Because while you can, yes, you can file an extension, right? If you don't meet the April 15th, you can file extension. Business tax dates are earlier in March, so you want to be aware of that. So you can file extensions, but I want to encourage you that while the extension is on your submitting and filing, it is not an extension on what you owe. So if you end up owing, you still will be incurring the interest for being delayed. So I want to encourage you, here's some things that we can do. Get your books in order right now. Get ready right now. Separate your personal and business finances. If you haven't already, get a dedicated bank account for your business. We still have people who are in business who are still operating in the lanes of a duality and having them all mixed in. It makes it so complex and difficult. You have got to separate business from personal. So make sure that you're doing that. Check your deductions. If you work from home, if you travel for business, or invest in software, you may be eligible for some key tax deductions. Consider that. Make sure that you assess that. Make sure you reconcile all of your accounts. Make sure everything is up to date in your accounting software system. So if you're using QuickBooks or X0 or any other type accounting software, you want to make sure that you've keyed everything in, that your data is up to date. Because listen, you're going to go to pull reports. And you know what they say, garbage in, garbage out. Your data and your reports are only as good as what you keyed in. And so you want to make sure that you take the time to go back and reassess that I have everything in. I am doing that right now, pulling reports, getting information together so that as I get ready to submit, I have everything together. This is my month. I like to get everything in. Maximize tax deductions and credits. Again, talking about tax prep. Maximize your tax deductions and credits. Common deductions, home office expenses, business vehicle usage, marketing and advertising costs, retirement contributions. If you're maxing out, make sure you're maxing out your 401k and your IRA contributions before the tax deadline. We really want to encourage you to use these instruments because they work out to your advantage. If you're an entrepreneur or a ministry leader, you want to look at your nonprofit donations. If you donate to your church or community programs, check and validate that they are tax deductible, right? And submit them. Educational and training. If you took business courses or certification, you may be able to write them off as expenses as well. Work, of course, with your tax preparer, your tax professional, your CPA, because they can be instrumental in giving you more information. Again, we're giving you nuggets that you can take and move forward with, but there's a lot more information that is available to you. And the tax codes, they change every year. So working with a professional can save you thousands. It ensures that you're in compliance. And if you have booked a meeting, if you haven't, book it now. Book it now. Make sure you calendar out time on your calendar to do your tax preparation. We want you to be ready. And remember that if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So if you've been doing your books all along, monthly, or watching and make sure you're recording everything, it will be an easier way to pull things together at the end of the year. And so today, my final thoughts, right, as we take a review of what we talked about today. One is stay ahead of the economic trends. Inflation and spending shifts mean business must be adaptable. You have to be able to adapt as the market and economic is changing and shifting. You have to change and shift with it. Strengthen your cash flow and your team. Cut unnecessary costs. Retain great employees. Retain great employees. I want to say that again. And diversify your revenue. Again, look to see how I can add value to them. Sometimes people are just waiting for an opportunity to help you and service you. Even on your team, sometimes we don't even ask for help. Ask for help. They'll be glad to assist you. Prepare for the tax season now. Don't wait till later. Let's do it now. Get your books in order, maximize deductions, and consult with your tax professional. Consult. Get information. Doesn't always mean sometimes you can have a tax preparer and you're just looking for consultant information, guidance, support. Doesn't mean that they have to do the full of filling out your tax papers for you, but where you can find strength, where you can find help through that type of medium, it will always work out to our advantage. Because a lot of times, because they're doing it all day, because they do this, they're professionals, they're trained, and they have some awareness and some purview and some insights that we just don't have. And so you can leverage that strength. You want to be proactive, not reactive. We state that in everything. Let's be proactive. This is not our year to sit back and wait on things to happen. When we say going from waiting to winning, we're talking about actively waiting, meaning being involved, meaning trusting, meaning working, meaning sowing, meaning moving forward, meaning attracting, actively attracting, not running or chasing after, but actively attracting, meaning making sure we're in the right place with the right people, spending our time well, taking an inventory of what we're doing and ensuring that we're maximizing the time that we have. So we want to be proactive, not reactive. The businesses that plan ahead are traditionally the ones that thrive. Let's say that again. The businesses that plan ahead are traditionally the ones that thrive. So here we are. We're about to close out on today's Money Monday podcast and just want to give you a few action steps that you can take for this week. Take one step toward making your business recession proof, whether it is reviewing expenses, improving your team communication, or adjusting your marketing strengths. Start one of them now. So we are so excited for you joining us on today. Again, this is Executive Pastor Tawana Grant. You will find us on the Juice Radio and Talk Show here on Mondays at 12 noon for your lunchtime learning. We want to encourage you to go to the Juice Radio and Talk Show to like and share. Go ahead and subscribe. We want to ask that you share with another business owner or entrepreneur who could certainly grow and benefit from this needed information. And we also want to hear from you. What are you doing to prepare your taxes? Send me a message or drop a comment again. And so until next time, remember, you choose how you show up. Remember, it's Money Monday and you are in charge. Peace and blessings to you on today.